Hello everyone, and welcome to the Endgame. Today we find ourselves in Monster Hunter Freedom 2, and perhaps the first question that you have to ask is why I'm even taking the time to record a game like this, because it's basically the same as Freedom Unite, right? It's just the high rank version. You're going to be playing the same game, effectively. Not true. None of what I just said is true. Well, some of it is. It is a high rank version of Freedom Unite, but it is noticeably different in a lot of ways. But maybe not so noticeable that you would be aware of it without having played the game. And that's the key point. I would say the people who have experience and knowledge of this game can be put into two categories. You've got Category A, which is the people who played this game when it came out. And then you've got Category B, which I fit into, which is people who are enthusiastic and obsessed enough with the series to actually give this a try, instead of just focusing all of their time on Freedom Unite. When you actually sit down and play this game, you find that it is noticeably different, and it gives you a different perspective again on second generation. And that's the interesting thing. You would assume that having played DOS and Freedom Unite, that's all you really need to know. That's the full picture of second generation. But no, when you play this game, you realize that it becomes really difficult to define second generation. Because, just to make it really clear, the way I viewed second generation was purely based on Freedom Unite. Freedom Unite was the first game that I played in the series, played it when it came out, and that was how I understood the evolution of Monster Hunter to be. That was second generation. But so much had been introduced into that game for the first time, that even a game like Freedom 2, you look at it looks like Freedom Unite must be the same. It's not. And this recording hopefully will go some of the way to communicating those differences. But I'll get to that. This is the introduction to Freedom 2. We've got, well, part of the theme playing for Tigrex. Very much a snow-themed game, I might mention, because Pocket Village is a mountain village in close proximity to the snowy mountains. And here's Tigrex. We saw him briefly before, but now he is in all his splendor, he is in full view, and he is indeed the flagship of this game. And this is his first appearance. Went on to be a very significant monster in the series. As you can see, bit of a blue theme going on. We've got a blue title screen, we've got a blue menu, but one of the points that I'm going to make about this game, which isn't a really crucial or central point, but just an interesting observation, is the thematic coloring of the game. So back in Monster Hunter 1, a lot of the menus and a lot of the menus and loading screen, it was all brown. Not a very exciting color, but it was a bit rustic, looked kind of cool. But then you move into Monster Hunter G, which is the G-rank version of that game, and what was previously brown, for the most part, becomes green. They did the same thing in this game and Freedom Unite, so you'll see the loading screen once it comes up. This is my character coming up. I've got a lovely pink bowgun. You can see this is not a super detailed character. It's not a well-built character, is what I mean to say. I'll be working on that, don't worry. I'm still in the endgame, though. I'm G-rank. There you go, there's your brown loading screen. Looks a little different to what you're used to, isn't it? Doesn't it? That's how I speak English. But yeah, that's one of the differences that I can remark upon to start with. But as I walk into here, you can see, wow, the game is pretty much exactly the same visually as Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. And that is most of the reason as to why people assume the games are the same. It's because if you were to actually look online for screenshots of Monster Hunter Freedom Unite versus Monster Hunter Freedom 2, they're going to be basically the same screenshots. There is no visual difference, whereas Monster Hunter DOS has actually a completely different village, has different heads-up display, different menus, lots of different things. The main reason for that is that it's an Alpha Team game on the PlayStation 2, whereas both Freedom 2 and Freedom Unite are Beta Team on the PSP, releasing consecutively. Sequentially, one after the other. The differences come into play when you actually sit down and play it and realize that a lot of the quality of life changes that you become really familiar with in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite are simply not here. This feels more first generation, believe it or not. And the reason why I say that is because, well, Freedom Unite was my first Monster Hunter game, and it defined my perception of what second gen was. So when I play a game like this, it actually feels more like first generation. Let me go through some of those changes. When you finish a quest, you don't just get to send items straight back to your box at home. You actually have to take them into your pouch. When you put items in your box, they can't actually stack properly. See, I can't stack these traps at all. I actually have to have a separate slot occupying my box for each of the traps that I want to have in here. My honey is only stacking to 10 because that's how it stacks in the pouch. A much smaller little detail is that I can't go backwards and forwards through this box. I can only press triangle to go to the next page and then end up back at page 1 when I want to go back there. Skipping cutscenes is not a thing. If you've got an opening scene, like let's say it's a Lao Shan Lung for example, you have to watch that cutscene. There's a lot of little things like that really aren't so little, to be honest, when you're playing the game, that makes it feel more like a first generation game. When emulating it, it's going to feel a little bit different. I don't think it's as big of an issue on the PSP, but basically you've got input detection issues in this game, which simply don't exist in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. The input detection issues are basically, if you're used to mashing your button to do an attack, you're not going to have that attack come out at all. It's really interesting. So what happens is, like let's say you press triangle to do an attack. The best thing to do is just to press it once and let the game catch up. If you are in the habit of pressing triangle maybe 3 times to perform one attack, it's actually just going to cancel out the attack completely. Which in practice means you press the button 3 times or nothing happens, then you keep pressing it to eventually get an attack to come out. So what could be done in a single attack, you end up pressing, or with a single button press, you end up pressing the button like 5 times for the attack to come out. And I have to admit, sometimes you press that button once and it won't actually pick it up either. So there are some serious input detection issues here. There is a strategy to dealing with it, and it is to just press the button once, to not be, I guess, compelled to spam the button when you're trying to attack, but it feels very different to Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. You actually have to play the game differently in order to be successful. And it's pretty amazing how that actually translates into the experience that you're having with the game. Some people actually like it. Some people prefer to play this version of second generation Monster Hunter. As I say, it's obviously very different to DOS, but it's also noticeably different to Freedom Unite, so this thing sort of exists in between, and once again makes it really hard to define what second generation actually is and what it actually feels like. I would say that if you're going to experience the generation, play Freedom Unite. It's an easier experience, it's smoother, more polished. But you can actually obviously play this game first and then move your save over onto Freedom Unite, which I would recommend, if only to better understand and better appreciate what Monster Hunter Freedom Unite is. Because all of these things that I've described about Monster Hunter Freedom 2, in that it feels more like first generation, that goes beyond the scope of a person's imagination when they're coming from 5th or 4th generation and going to Freedom Unite. Freedom Unite feels ancient. It feels rigid and difficult to engage with. But Freedom Unite was very polished for the time, compared to this game. And in many ways, compared to Monster Hunter DOS, it was a very polished version of Monster Hunter. Definitely a transition into 3rd generation more than it is a 2nd gen game. Really interesting. About Monster Hunter DOS as well, one of the similarities between this game and that game is that obviously you've got all of the locations from DOS, which also exist in Freedom Unite, but Freedom Unite had its own themes for those locations, as in music. Different soundtrack for when you're in those locations, but here it is the same as Monster Hunter DOS. So yeah, for anyone who's played Monster Hunter DOS, while you do have those same locations, different theme music. This uses the Monster Hunter DOS soundtrack. So that's one of the similarities between this game and DOS, but other than that, almost no similarities at all. Well, no, there are other ones. I don't really want to go over all of the changes ad nauseum because there are quite a lot of differences between this and Freedom Unite, but one similarity between this game and Monster Hunter DOS that I really should mention is how you use greatswords. So greatswords do not have the option to charge faster. It simply doesn't exist. You have to charge at the default charging speed. Focus, as a skill, simply does not exist. So that's obviously something that's more like Monster Hunter DOS, because even in this game, the greatsword is a newer weapon type. It still hasn't received all of its benefits yet. You know, there is no Art of Unsheathing from Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, where you get 100% critical chance when you unsheath your greatsword, or whatever weapon you happen to be using. And there's no focus either, so when you're using a greatsword in this game, it's really interesting. You're just better off going for a general use armor set than making an armor set specifically for a greatsword, which is a little bit of a shame. It's one of the downsides to this game. The fact that you've got less options. Definitely there are more weapons to choose from in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, so you're going to be able to make a more interesting built-up character. So this series is all about demonstrating what it's like to play a game in the Monster Hunter series with a fully built character. It isn't going to be quite as fun in this game when I have fully built up this character, because unfortunately there are some things that just don't exist. Like, you can't have a thunder gunlance in this game, as I recall. The Kezu gunlance doesn't exist here. So that's an example of what I mean. It's just, you don't have as many options available to you, which is unfortunate, but I'll tell you why it's still worth playing this game. As an enthusiast who plays a lot of different Monster Hunter games, the balance is a little bit different here. Because it's the higher rank version of Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, the weapons that you can make in some cases might be quite different. You know, there are some weapons that don't really end up being worthwhile in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite beyond high rank. So in this game, they end up being your strongest weapons, and so your weapon selection is a little different. Honestly, the most repetitive aspect to this is probably that all of the monsters are very familiar. They're all from DOS, a lot of them are also carried over from first gen, so there's a little bit of repetition in that regard, but definitely, if you are playing second generation for the first time and don't really feel like touching Monster Hunter DOS because it's definitely not beginner friendly, maybe give this game a try first. And if you really, really don't like it, you can go and play Freedom Unite. But, I'm pretty sure you can just transfer at whatever time suits you. You don't have to get to the end of Monster Hunter Freedom 2 before porting over to Freedom Unite. You can just port over whenever it feels comfortable. And that's what I would recommend. Lots of other differences that I can go over. But, I suppose one that I'll just touch on now is the guild card. So the guild card is going to be a little bit different. Probably the biggest difference for me with the guild card is the fact that your weapon uses are not actually recorded at all. It's not even somewhere in the background of the game. Like, if you were to port this character over to Freedom Unite, you aren't going to have a record of the number of times that you've used a weapon. It's just not recorded whatsoever, which honestly is a bit of a downside. It's not as bare bones and simple as the Monster Hunter Freedom 1 guild card, but this is technically the second time a guild card has appeared in a Monster Hunter game, because I don't believe DOS brought that over. I wouldn't imagine so. So yeah, this is the second time, and they're still working on expanding it into different areas. And that's definitely one thing that was done in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite that was improved upon this game. You've got other things as well, like for example, the concept of having a feline comrade. That doesn't exist in this game. That was first introduced in Freedom Unite. Pretty significant, don't you think? The idea that you've got a companion with you. Freedom Unite was the first game to introduce that. I'm sure there are other things that I'm missing, but it doesn't matter. I think I've made it pretty clear that the game is rather different to play. And what I'm going to do now is actually play the damn game and show and tell, not just tell. Ironically, I was thinking about how it would be better to actually play the game and show you, and yet I've just been sort of sitting here doing nothing and explaining it anyway. I probably could have done that in Freedom Unite, and I did do that a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to go and get a group together, and, well, probably not a group, it might just be one friend of mine who does actually play this game regularly. But, yeah, I'm going to go and organize that now. Oh, got something in my eye. That's good timing. I'm trying to record a video here. Oh, that's awful. Anyway, I shall see you all in a moment when I've actually organised that. And then we can actually play this game. See you in a moment. And we are back. I've got a group of 3 which actually exceeded my expectations. I was hoping to get one particular person, but he was not able to come, but we did get another person, who is Spear. He is one of the regular players of Monster Hunter Freedom 2 on Hunsterverse, and obviously we have AJ, who has been a consistent companion in these recordings that I've been doing. It's much appreciated. Oh, one thing that I have to warn you all, I've got a dummy item here, that obviously comes from Japanese DLC, for those who are not familiar. One thing that I will just say to start with is that my habit of using circle to make my selections is going to hurt me quite considerably. I'm playing a version of Monster Hunter where I'm actually using cross to make my selections, so if I look like I'm going backwards, like going back from screens when I should not be, it's because I'm pressing the wrong buttons. That's what's happening. Anyone has a quest in mind? Not a particular one. I guess I need Gypsaros. Or do I need Gypsaros? Do you know what? I'm gonna let Spearman post what he wants, just for now. I'm concerned that if we let him post what he wants, we might actually be grinding something, and grinding is not as fun for recording purposes. I don't mind doing it in my own time. It's kind of a necessity of Monster Hunter, but it's not as fun to show. Nope. I've invited him to post, and now AJ is posting something. I don't really care, to be honest, but he's quite happy with that arrangement. He says, okay, great. I do realise that I'm covering the chat, so I probably should be relaying this information to you if I'm not sharing it by moving my body. Move my body. I vaguely remember a song from long ago that was like that. Something like that, I don't know. I haven't heard that song in a long time. So yeah, I'm not too sure what Spear is going to want to do. Oh, he's probably already told me, has he? Oh no! Oh fuck. He wants to do 2 Black Diablos, which is not a welcome first hunt, but that's alright. I took a risk, and this is what I get in return. I just really hate Diablos, okay? I'm not too worried about it being exceptionally difficult or anything like that. It's just that, see what I mean? I'm going back, because I'm used to pressing circle. Yeah, look, I just do not like that monster at all. I might bring a gun lance. So my armor sets in this game, just to make it very clear, are not extensive. I've got 2 different armors. Well, technically 3 if we include my gunner set, but I've got 3 different armor sets. 2 of them are Blade Master. This is a general use set. Very much recommended that you make a Cantor in this particular game. And that goes back to what I was talking about in my introduction when I was talking... Let's not rephrase that. Or rather repeat that phrase. What I was explaining is that the balance is different when you're playing the end game in Monster Hunter Freedom 2 versus Freedom Unite. In this game, using the full Cantor set is a really good idea, whereas in G-Rank, in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, you're not really going to use the Cantor set, and you don't see it much at all. So, there's a good example of a difference. Okay. Oh god. That was very chaotic maneuvering through my menu. Alright, Golden Fish Brew and Kirin Cheese. I don't get that every time, but when I do, it's much appreciated. You were able to see there that I can skip my eating animation, but as I mentioned, you can't skip cutscenes. Well, I guess you would call that a cutscene more than an animation, but anyway. That can be skipped, but much to my chagrin, there is no skipping of cutscenes. For some monsters it's not a big deal, but as I said, Lao Shanlong, miserable. It takes forever. Shen Galrin as well, I think. Doesn't he have a cutscene of some kind? Anyway. So I'm starting off with the gun lance. This is really my best armor set in the game in terms of it being tailored to a specific weapon type. But very interestingly, you know, if I'm using the greatsword, for example, I'm actually going to use that Acantor loadout, because in the absence of focus being in the game, or in the absence of focus, generally speaking, it's, there's really no point in me making anything else. There's no art of unsheathing, no focus, that's it. Yeah, so none of the monster intros can be skipped, which is frustrating. Spear is looking quite stylish, but also quite frightening. He's using... oh, it's the Remobra suit. Very leathery. As you can see, or perhaps hear in this case, there is no bell sound when you ready up. I am going to have the chat up just so that I can communicate with Spearman. Well, I am more or less hiding the chat anyway, so it's not the end of the world, but... yeah. Oof. I did press circle there once and it didn't do anything, so... those input detection issues are problematic. That is something that you will have to wrestle with when you play Freedom 2. For some people, that's going to make or break their experience. There's just very little tolerance for most people in dealing with input detection issues, and do you know what? I do not blame them. I really do not blame them. The reason why I play this game is because I really like old Monster Hunter, and this is just another different experience that I can have within that formula. Alright, so it's double Diablos, double Black Diablos in fact. If I were being sensible, I would have brought Sonic Bombs, but I didn't do that. Because I am an incorrigible fool. Couldn't really think of a... oh! Couldn't really think of a word for lazy person. But anyway. Just lowering the monitoring volume for the game on my end. Alright. Very good. Flash bombing out of the flying animation. Oh, I should be doing Wyvern Fire. Certainly when I've got an opportunity like this. Obviously, the sooner I shoot off my Wyvern Fire, the sooner it will recharge. I suppose he's looking for horns, so I probably should contribute to that to some extent. Tail swings are some of the most annoying attacks in the series, particularly the older games. The monster just has to turn around and there you are flying away from it. You've had whatever you were doing previously thoroughly interrupted by the fact that the monster's basically looking around for you. Oh, where'd he go? That's how it feels anyway. Down to green sharpness, but again, it's a high rank game, so green sharpness really isn't as bad as it sounds. The highest sharpness, of course, is white sharpness. There is no purple sharpness in the series yet. That was an addition in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, which hadn't previously existed. There we go, broke the second horn. I actually meant to turn there. I'm not actually going to blame input detection issues for that. That felt more like my controller. How's the game volume for you guys? Oh, that's fine. I'm happy with that. Oh, we've got a paralysis. No point holding up my shield for a paralyzed monster. I don't know if you guys can hear the music, but it's the DOS music. It's not the music that you would be familiar with in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. I found it a little unfortunate that Freedom Unite Complete included the option to just use the DOS music in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. I feel like that takes away from some of the uniqueness of this game, and indeed, Monster Hunter DOS. It's also, this is a strange point which maybe not everyone can relate to, but I also feel that way when it comes to modifying your heads-up display to look like a different game. For me, the heads-up display is one of those small changes across games that makes it kind of fun to just experience a different Monster Hunter. So why Why detract from that? Like, for example, playing Monster Hunter Portable Third with a Monster Hunter double-cross looking heads-up display. The heads-up display looks unique in Monster Hunter Portable Third. No other game quite looks like it, so I feel like you're detracting from the uniqueness of the experience by doing that. It sounds like such a small thing and such a trivial point, but yeah, it's just one of those small, unique points to the game that you're playing that you're just willingly taking away. Same thing with the music, in my opinion. One of the strange things in Double Cross / Generations Ultimate is that you can actually change the music in the online hub. You can change it to the Freedom Unite music, even. In other words, you can change it to the music from other games, which was weird. I didn't decide to do that, because again, I thought that it would be weird. I would end up feeling like I was in a different game. I actually play those games where that music is from, so maybe it's nice for people who don't play those games, but for me, I want to hear that music when I'm playing that game. Thank you very much. Strange preferences, I guess. Ow. I didn't come very well equipped in terms of healing wares. Oh, we've got a double trap going on here. You guys are going for the capture. What? I thought this was double. Well, Spear expressed a desire to do double Black Diablos. Turns out that that's not what we're doing. I didn't actually end up checking. I think what defaultly appears on the screen when you go to join the quest does not include specific details. I think it just gives you the quest name or something like that. Yeah, I already carved that tail. Noob carved that tail. Just a quick point on noob carving. I noob carve. But I would argue that it's not noob carving, it's just carving. Because I'm not a noob, damn it. The reason why I noob carve, and there is a reason for it. Thank you for that, AJ. I think that... Very good. The reason why I noob carve is because I'm so singularly focused on the monster that when it leaves, I end up pursuing it, sort of really, in a really focused way, to the extent where I completely forget about things that may need to be carved. So what I do is, if I see it, I carve it while I'm remembering to carve it. Otherwise, I may actually just completely forget to carve it in the future. It's not a case of me just being like, ooh, carbs, and then not being able to stop myself. Ooh, I don't know if I deserve that. I got a Twisted Black Bloss horn. That is the rare drop for the horns. Thank you for that. I guess I sort of deserve that. It's not like I just sat back and let someone else break the horns. I did contribute a little bit. Got a Wyvern Stone as well. I really should have done more with my inventory before departing on this quest. I basically did nothing with it. It's a gunner inventory, which is inappropriate to say the least. Alright, I don't need the hard monster bone. So, as you can see, I don't have an option to actually send items to my box here, but one of the good things about this game, versus, say, Monster Hunter Freedom 1, is that I don't just leave the items there. I do actually sell them. That was one of the annoying things about Monster Hunter in the first generation. When you left an item behind because you couldn't take it, or perhaps because you didn't want it, that was it. You didn't get any finances for it. Well, in this case, you can actually sell the stuff, so that was one change that was made. You can probably see here as well that the stuff that's appearing on the screen is appearing much more slowly as compared to Freedom Unite. It comes up nice and quick, you don't feel like you're wasting time. Here, oh, it's crushingly slow. Particularly if you're used to how it's done in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. But the weird thing is, the saving is faster in this game. I don't know, I don't understand it, but again, as I say, it's the little differences. They all have a cumulative significance. Or so I say. Or so I contend. Alright. Another thing that is not present in this game, which is quite extraordinary, is being able to combine in the box. You can't do it. Your only way to combine things is to bring it into your pouch, and then combine from the pouch, which often requires the movement of combo books to and from your inventory and box, etc. So, there you go, that's one difference in the experience that you'll be having. Lots of things that we took for granted when playing Freedom Unite, or that I took for granted, because I hadn't actually played Freedom 2 beforehand. Alright, what's happened with Mr. Spearman? One more Diablos, please. He's got an interesting shout. It's Turbo Meal / Change Weapon. Turbo Meal? Are you like eating octane? Drinking octane? Anyway, Turbo Meal. Do you eat octane or do you drink octane? That's the question. Well, I suppose ideally you wouldn't do either, would you? It's not advisable. Alright, so we're doing another Diablos. I'm going to bring a longsword this time. One thing that you will notice with my character is that I don't have many weapons to choose from. It's unfortunate, but it is a fact. I'm still building the character, so I do require some latitude from my viewership. Alright, there we go. Blango Destructor. You do have other ice weapons in the game. I think some of the Geoprey weapons are okay. I think the Geoprey Greatsword is not a bad ice Greatsword. I don't think I'm going to make the Geoprey Greatsword, though. I think there's another one that I'm going to make. Probably the Kushala weapon. Very frustratingly, I don't have my kid in cheese or my golden fish brew. Which is intolerable. I just, like, what am I supposed to do? Just eat random shit. Not actually random shit. I'm going to eat for health. So, double meat. But there's still a giant fish head there for some reason. That's contamination. I didn't order this shit. Was this meant for someone else? Do I have someone else's meal? Waiter, take this back. When I worked in a restaurant, I always found myself struck by that. Very occasionally, it usually wasn't your fault. Often, it would be the kitchen doing something weird, like they put the wrong docket on the wrong meal, and then you take it to the wrong table, and it's extraordinary when that happens. The people don't question it. The people at the table will just, like, start eating the fucking food, and you're like, you didn't order this. It's quite funny. But I suppose sometimes you don't know what you're ordering. You only go based on the description, and maybe when it arrives at your table, you're just like, well, fuck, this must be it. They brought it to me. This must be my food. It is true that if you're sitting there at a restaurant, you're probably not... it's not for you to worry about whether or not the waitstaff are doing the right job, but it did strike me as quite shocking in some cases what people would just, you know, sit there and eat. I think... I'm not going to dwell on this for long, but I think sometimes there was a language barrier issue. Because I used to work in Circular Quay, like right on the water, in Sydney Harbour, and so it was a very touristy location. So maybe some people would be ordering shit and they've got no idea what they're ordering. That was a former life. And not one that I would ever return to. I would not recommend working in hospitality. It's a fucking nightmare. Fucking nightmare. Drains your energy. The Fierce Black Horn. There's a lot of interesting names for Diablos monsters. You've got the Black Phalanges, you've got Fierce Black Horn. I don't know if this is a faster way for me to go, but I'm going this way anyway. So be it. So again, this is the Dark Acantor loadout. I shouldn't be calling it the Dark Acantor loadout. It's the Acantor armor set. There's no non-dark version. And it's basically your Silver Athlos armor of this game. And when I say Silver Athlos, I'm referring to Portable Third. Basically a catch-all solution that you can use for multiple different styles of play, and it's just an excellent general use armor. Good defense as well, as you would expect. I don't think mine is nowhere near to being fully upgraded. I think I'm fine on the armor sphere side of things, it's just the money, the amount of money that I need for it. It's quite prohibitive at this stage. Because keep in mind, I'm making a lot of weapons as well. And that is costly, not just in terms of materials, but especially when it comes to money. You will never have much money to your name if you are building your character and making lots of weapons. All of your finances will be utilized. Utilized with pleasure, though, I might add. AJ's got the Spear Tuner, which is very appropriate given that we are joined by Spear himself. Very ironically, I was listening to an interview of Albert Speer from Nazi Germany this morning. It's weird. I never even thought that those guys, you know, saw the light of day, but no, I think he was imprisoned and then he came out and he took interviews. That was interesting. Anyway, just a strange coincidence. Strange coincidence. Oh no. I don't know if I actually managed to evade that or what just happened. Again, I do not have any... Well, not that I'd be able to make use of them, but I don't have any sonic bombs. I'm sure I have some in my box, but I didn't bring any. Because I never do that. Why would I do such a thing? Why would I do such a thing? That is out of character for me. It'll be interesting to see how Greatsword feels to play in this game. I really haven't experienced Greatsword without focus very much. The only times where I've experienced it would be in arena quests, where you're basically forced to use loadouts that are suboptimal quite often. And so, yeah, I really have limited experience, but that is the way you play Greatsword in Monster Hunter DOS and Freedom 2. I suspect that I would prefer to just use first-gen style Greatsword where you don't even have a charging option. That's my instinct. I suspect that's how I will feel, but we'll see. I'm going to approach it with an open mind and see if I can tolerate it. But yeah, I don't suspect that I will be as warm to the Greatsword weapon type when I do that as I am in the other games. Even first-gen, as I say. But as a consequence of the lack of focus and art of unsheathing in this game, Greatsword really is not as effective as it is in later games. Because ultimately, when you're looking at faster charging speed, you're looking at higher damage and better DPS. Your opportunities to get off a level 3 charge are going to be more numerous. Got some cockatoos outside. Give it a rest, mate. It's probably on my balcony. The next door neighbours feed them. Bastards. White cockatoos are extremely destructive and should not be fed. It's a terrible idea. They're also quite nasty to other birds. You know, if you've got, I don't know, lorikeets and king parrots that you feed, oh, you'll attract the cockatoos and they'll bully the other birds out of the way. They have nasty personalities and they're crafty as well. And when you decide to stop feeding them, they'll become vindictive. They are unpleasant birds, honestly. Oh, there you go. There's a good example of me pressing the button to attack and the game just shits itself. You know you pressed that button, but the game's like, well, where's the evidence of that? You didn't press any button. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, that's right. Got a capture on the way. There you go. And up I go. Looks like AJ is using the Lao Shan Lung armor set. Mixed with something. What's that waist piece? Because I think they almost look like armor coattails. I think that's from the chest piece. That was an excellent shot. Take that. Spear is using the Acantor bow. Now that's obviously a very clear difference between this game and Freedom Unite. In this game, the Acantor bow actually has 3 charge levels. It's a rapid bow in this game. But the weapon is so stupidly strong that it can be used against all monsters. You don't need to worry about the fact that... am I getting the... Is this the rare, or is this the... Or is this a normal drop? I don't know. But yeah, so the Acantor bow is essentially your go-to weapon if you want something really, really overpowered for the monsters that you're fighting. Doesn't matter if the monster's weak to dragon or not. It was deemed too strong by the developers, and their way of balancing the Acantor bow for Monster Hunter Freedom Unite was to remove one of its charge levels. So, there you have it. Probably a good idea. Apparently that was the full Lao Shan Lung armor set. I wasn't expecting it to have such a blood-red coattail underneath the armor. Alright, did I consume many Mega Potions? Not really, I'm not going to bother crafting more of them. Alright, are we done with Diablos? I hope so. Oh, okay, we're doing Descendants of the King Light, which is the description. I don't remember what it's called in this game. I think it's a DLC quest in this game. Basically, it's Gold Rathian and Silver Rathalos together in the arena. And yeah, I don't remember what the quest is called here. It might... I don't think it's Wyverns of the Land and Sky, but we'll find out. We'll find out. Yeah, that's right, Guard Greatsword. I did see that you had that armor set. I saw the skills before in the past. But I suppose that's one of the options available to you, when you don't have the option to increase your effectiveness with attacking with a greatsword. Maybe it's worth making it a better weapon for guarding. Probably a good idea, actually, because... yeah, you just keep the weapon out and then guard things. Absolutely hellish for your sharpness, though, surely. Right, Descendants of the King, or whatever the quest is called. I'll bring a longsword. It'll be Thunder. I probably shouldn't say I'll bring a longsword as if I've got lots of options. But, yeah. As I said in the intro, no Thunder Gunlance in this game, so it's not like Gunlance could be an option in any event. Oh, is he going paralysis? Yeah, he's got the green shotgun. Very well. This will be a very quick and easy hunt. AJ is using the Thunder Lance, which I intend to make. I'm not going to be using the Rajang Lance in this game. I plan to use the Kirin Lance, just so that I have something different to my G-Rank loadout. Are you turbo mealing again? Yep, turbo meal. I wonder if he has a separate shout for when he intends to take his time when eating his food. I was right, it is a DLC quest. I suspect it's in Japanese. So, yeah, I've got no idea what it's called. It's called Anger of Heaven and Earth. A-H-E? A-O-H-A-E? Aho! Aho! Well, not really. Ow. I mean, that... it was a bit of an anagram there, but anyway. I'm just going to call it Aho. which requires the letters to be swapped around a bit, but that's alright. Spear is using the Tigrex hammer. A weapon that I've never used in 2nd gen, but I did interestingly use it in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. It was quite good in Generations Ultimate, as I remember. I don't know how it is in this game. I don't suspect that the sharpness would be as good. Well, sharpness isn't going to be as much of a mitigating factor in a high rank game. So maybe it's worth using that hammer here. I'm not sure if it would be better than using the Garuga hammer, but don't necessarily have to use the best possible thing always. Okay guys, I've got the map. I've got the map. If you need to know where to go, just talk to me. Apparently in this game the metal wraths only need earplugs to have their roars resisted. I didn't really know that it was high grade in the later games, but there you go. Alright. So generally you start with Silver Rathalos because interestingly he does have less health than Rathian. Oh god, stop spinning. So yeah, I was expecting to have some paralysis going on, but it looks like Mr. Spear has changed his mind. I really should have brought flash bombs. I mean, I didn't bring sonic bombs for the Diabloses, but it's pretty poor form to not bring flash bombs for this fight. Someone took the flash bombs from the box as well. I don't know where... Oh, Rathian's over there. It's so funny. I wasn't intending to have her be off screen like that, but it just... She was so effectively off screen that I thought she may have gone somewhere. Indeed, the one that usually flies off randomly is Rathalos. Oh god. I think I got a glimpse of purple eyes from the Silver Rathalos there. I hadn't really noticed his eye colour before, but it looked like it was purple. Let's see if I can get another look. Looks like he's dead. Can I see his eyes? Come on. Oh, not really. More of a pinkish colour. I did see some rich purple in there somewhere. This is a huge Rathian. Look at the size of her. That is definitely a Gold Crown Large if ever I've seen one. She's titanic in size. There's no need to attack your dead boyfriend. He's already gone. That's just crossing the threshold into the realms of overkill. Rathian. Oh god. That was a bit of a Yangaruga run there. Sudden and without prior warning. Hence the sudden nature of it. Might get that tail. I know it looks like I'm failing miserably at hitting the tail, but I'm sure that with lag compensation, I'm actually dealing the damage to it. Or maybe I'm not. Maybe I just suck. Definitely possible. Looks like we didn't end up cutting the tail of the Silver Rathalos. It's not the end of the world. But it is preferred. There we go. Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to cut that too quickly. Otherwise, that would have been a waste of an opportunity with the KO there. Oh god. So this same quest can be experienced in most generations of Monster Hunter. Weirdly, the one in Monster Hunter Freedom 1, and I can't speak for Monster Hunter 1 and Monster Hunter G, but I would assume that it's this way. When you fight these two monsters in the arena, you end up with the Fatalis theme playing, which is very fascinating. Going for a capture, I suppose? Yep. Alright, let's go and carve this fellow. I feel like double arena quests in general, in first generation, used the Fatalis theme. I'm not sure why. It's not a good idea, is it? It goes back to trivializing the significance of soundtrack, which I was discussing in a previous Diablos hunt that we were doing. If you use the Fatalis theme for other things, it makes it less special when you're experiencing Fatalis and hearing that music. So, not a good idea in my book. But it definitely feels dramatic. Definitely does. Thank you for that. We've both got purple weapons, actually. Yours is a more bluish purple. I look like I'm... What on earth am I doing? I've just got very strange posture, that's all. Tempting as it is to sell that stuff for money, I may need it for something in the future, so I'm just taking it all. I should consider... Oh, really? That was a silver crown? Okay. Really was expecting a gold crown there. She looked really big. I almost can't imagine a larger Rathian than that. But very well. Alright, now we will make some more Mega Potions. He wants to do the quest again. Very well. Although I don't know if there's anything else that I can bring. I think it's just going to be this longsword again. I need to get some good raw weapons. What are some examples that I can think of? There's the Gaelic Flame, I believe it's called. That's a raw longsword. Very good. Can't remember what's needed for it, though. It needs some Elder Dragon materials, don't remember what. Probably Teostra or something like that. I think it's called the Last Gaelic Flame, or maybe Last Gaelic Flame is what it was called in Freedom Unite. Might just be Gaelic Flame in this game. I don't know if the Dragoon's Gay Bulg is in this game, but maybe an earlier upgrade of that is here that's worth using. That's a good raw lance. Obviously, you've got the Diablos weapons, which are still good. Much to do with this save file. One interesting weapon that I have here in this... on this profile, which I certainly wouldn't be using in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, is the White Diablos Longsword. Not a weapon that I've ever really seen before. It's not very exciting looking, it basically looks like a bone weapon. Just a pale bone in sort of a scythe shape. Far from exciting, but yeah, it's very effective for high rank. And again, just something different. which is enjoyable. Anger of heaven and earth. Anger of heaven and earth. So, it's not quite a-ho, it's ahoy! Ahoy! I've suddenly become, what is it, Czech? They say ahoy, don't they? Ahoy! I find it genuinely funny that there is a Slavic language where ahoy actually means hello in their language. I once again enter this quest without contributing flash bombs. Letting Spear host, because things haven't gone wrong so far in allowing him to host. He seems to have pretty good connection. Again, this is a really big Rathian. Look at her. Silver Rathalos looks tiny here. He looks particularly small, actually. Maybe she's normal-sized and he's just really small. We'll have to find out. That tail pops off very quickly, doesn't it? That's fun. It's just interesting to see an attack animation interrupted by the monster breaking out of being flashed. That is a first and second generation thing. They did not carry that over into third generation and beyond. Monsters do complete their animations when they get out of stun. I would suspect that the animation gets skipped completely, and then the stars disappear. That's probably how it works. That was a very good flinch. Very dramatic. Alright, we've got an angry Rathian who's about to make her way over here. Not with much success, though. I took that square in the face. Couldn't have been more on target. We do have the blimp here. The balloon, rather. Not a blimp. It's not a fucking blimp, Doomlink, honestly. But the, yeah, if we lose the monsters, we can wave at it. Where's Rathalos gone? Wave at the balloon. They don't have the big telescope, just to be clear. So they're not a surveying balloon. So we can't wave at it and get a paintball to appear on the screen, okay? It's not an option. Oh god. Can't do much about the wind pressure. Just got out of the way of that. I do really think this is a particularly large Rathian. Am I being shown gold crown size now? It looks about the same as the last one. So I'm not going to assume that it's gold crown, but there is potential for it. Good KO. I should position myself to attack the wing. Alright. It's capture time. I'm going to try and assist this on this occasion. There you go. I helped. Lots of tranks going around though. The reason why I often don't contribute to the tranking is because, you know, if I do that, someone's going to waste their tranks. And to be honest, we all waste our tranks in that situation. There should be designated trankers, and then backup trankers, but it could be argued that there's absolutely no reason to be that organized for a hunt. Particularly when it comes to the use of tranks, they're not They're not such precious commodities, such precious items that we need to avoid wasting trains. Apparently in DOS there was a reason for the balloon to appear here. Oh, excuse me. There is a telescope. See that thing sticking out the side? That's the telescope. So I was wrong about that not being a telescope. Whenever the balloon spawned, it increased the siege level. Okay. It's interesting. Oh, look at them, they're sleeping together. Don't know what happened to my accent, though. Don't even know what kind of accent that was. It sounded vaguely European. I sounded like I was a German porn filmmaker. Sorry for giving you that visual. I've certainly got a lot of this stuff now. Well, I didn't get a crown of any sort there, so maybe that was a normal-sized Rathian and I'm just going insane. This is entirely possible. Again, I'm starting to feel the frustration of not being able to go back and forth through my box pages. I can only go forwards. Here we go. Yeah, I got a decent amount of gold Rathian stuff. Well, it's there if I need money, I suppose. I think I've got Spears guild card, let me just make sure. Yeah, I've got AJ's and Spears guild cards. They are two people that I've played with quite a lot. Kaoru. Willy. Thought that said Sortilège for a second. Very good French band, Sortilège. Particularly their 1983 EP. The eponymous EP. As in, same title as the band. It's not called eponymous. I think that was Ghost's first album, Opus Eponymous. I think the only Ghost album that I can listen to. The rest of it, I honestly... Get me a pillow and I'll be asleep. But Opus Eponymous, not too bad. We seem to now be a little uncertain as to what to do next. Arena DLC Rajang. I think they're leaving. What kind of Rajang is that? Mate. Ugh. That's like a controller dropping moment. Rajang? Want to do the arena DLC? What kind of Rajang is that? Rajang in the arena. Really? Anyway. I have nothing against Spearman, but I can tell you I've had some very interesting interactions with him in the past. With that sort of flavor. With that sort of flavor. My golden fish brew and my Kirin cheese is here. I'm sorry, Kirin cheese is disgusting. Do you really want cheese made from Kirin milk? Ugh. It's basically horse cheese. I mean, there are a lot of food items in Monster Hunter which do not sound appealing, but Kirin cheese would definitely be quite high up on the list of unpleasant things. Obviously, dragon head is not very appetizing. See, why do you let me send to box here, but not at the end of a quest, assholes? How do you milk a Kirin? Does Kirin have udders? Maybe. Maybe it's a different kind of milk. Ever thought about that? Maybe I shouldn't be thinking about that. Okay. I definitely need to change weapons because we don't want to be fighting a Rajang with a weapon like this. Let's go home. Looks like Le Palestine face has made an appearance in the chat. Oh. No, I'm not going to get more Mega Potions, but I will get... I will buy some more potions momentarily. Okay, so we are hunting Rajang, so therefore ice. Back with the ice weapons again. I would like to use Frost Ripper. I'll at least show you what it looks like. See what I mean? It looks a little bit like a bone longsword, but it's extremely long. Look at it. It's bigger than most greatswords, to be honest. I'm sure the opportunity will arise for me to use it. Yeah, I am going to trip over it. Look at that. I can't even walk properly with this thing on my back. Alright, back to the Blango Destructor. It's not very exciting, I know, but that's fine. The purpose of these quests being posted is not to give me an opportunity to use exciting weapons. It's just to play the damn game. Alright, so we're doing the Rajang Arena DLC, which is, believe it or not, Rajang in the arena. So, yeah. Just thought I'd give you all a heads up on that one. Golden Thunder God. Take it easy. Do we really need to call him the Golden Thunder God? Well, there's a lot of use of the word God. Like, the word God is bandied around in this series quite a lot. Like how Akantor is the Black God, and Ukanlus is the White God. What are you talking about? They're just big monsters, and we kill them. They're not gods at all. Speaking of black gods. Here he is. No, this is Yellow God, actually. I should get it right. Yellow God? What other gods are there? Rathalos can be Red God. Because, I don't know. He's scary, and he's a dragon. I don't see what other criteria was observed to give the Akantor and Ukanlus their names, other than them being scary dragons. I'm gonna create my own damn story. We're fighting the Yellow God as we speak. What else have we fought up until now? I'm actually struggling to remember. I won't overthink it. Goldrathian could actually be a contender for Yellow God. Oh, Jesus. Why are you doing that much damage? Maybe that's why this is the DLC. This is problematic though, because I don't have any means to increase my health bar I don't know what health level I was at, but it was more than 100 health, we'll put it that way. So I'm definitely going to get one shot when I go back in here. Well, I'm at risk of being one shot if I go back in. Not good. I didn't realize we were fighting a stronger version. But I think that's the only explanation for me having taken that much damage. Big knockdown there. I just have to be extra careful. May not be enough. I'm actually quite shocked to see a pierce bow against a Rajang. It seems to be piercing rather well. I wouldn't do it, but that's me. And he's not me. And that's all I can say about that. Not the most profound statement to ever pass my lips, but it is the pure and unadulterated truth. Has anyone considered the possibility that Rajang is part zebra? Because I'm noticing it now. It's a bit disturbing, actually. Oh no, 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 no. He is situationally zebra-like. Because he's not currently like a zebra. I'm a bit scared to fully engage this monster because I don't... Oh, there you go. I'm glad he's dead. Maybe he wasn't a stronger version. I need someone to weigh in on this because I really don't know how I took that much damage, but yeah, my initial guess was that he was a bit stronger, but anyway. Yeah, maybe he's actually yellow with black stripes. That's possible. Sadly only broke one of 2 horns, but I don't currently need Rajang stuff. I don't know if I will need it in the future. I don't plan on making the armor set because there's no fucking focus in the game. And I don't think I'm going to be making any of the Rajang weapons because I already use them in Freedom Unite. So for example, I use the Rajang Greatsword, Lance, and Sword and Shield in Freedom Unite. And where possible, I'm going to avoid making the same weapons here because I want to have a different loadout. Otherwise it really would be pointless to play Freedom 2, even with these differences that I've been showcasing. It's an interesting final screen. Oh yes, that's one difference that I haven't actually mentioned yet. You can see that there is no special icon for armor spheres in this game. They just use this icon. So, I'm assuming that I've picked up armor spheres before now, but now I'm actually mentioning it. That's one fascinating difference between this game and Freedom Unite. And obviously the games that came after Freedom Unite. Ugh, got less guild points due to my suboptimal performance. I'm really used to having a supply of potions in my box. I might have to... Well, no, I won't do that because I don't want to waste the money. I don't have much money on hand. What I might do is actually post a quest that I haven't done yet, if you don't mind. I have a lot of quests that I've not completed in this game, so I'm going to start posting them. Let's do Purple Gypsaros. Gives me the opportunity to use a damn fire weapon. No, don't post it. I'm getting a call. but it's not from a number that I recognize. I've been getting a lot of calls, like spam calls, so it's probably just another one of those. Alright. Admittedly, the fire weapon that I have to use is not very exciting. It is a Rathalos longsword. Ever seen one of those? Wyvern Blade Maple. It is literally just a standard Rathalos longsword. Not even silver. Whether it's in the game or not, I can't specifically recall. But I deemed that this one was the ideal weapon to make. They took a fascinating approach in Generations Ultimate, I remember. And probably also Generations. They made it so that the standard Rathalos longsword was a very high raw, low sharpness fire longsword. And that's a game where you can actually get sharpness plus 2, not just sharpness plus 1. So I tend to use the Rathalos, standard Rathalos longsword in that game. Because I can counterbalance the lacking sharpness. No, I did not get a big Elder Dragon jewel in that Rajang fight. It's a common joke among people who play Freedom 2, because it's got that gem icon and that specific colour. There are, as I understand it, only 2 possible purple gem icon drops in the series, and that is Chameleos Jewel and Big Elder Dragon Jewel. I can't remember any others that are that colour and that use that icon. But of course, because that jewel icon is used for armor spheres in this game, people jokingly say, "Oh wow, he's got a Big Elder Dragon Jewel in his rewards." Very funny. You can tell by my rapturous laughter. Maybe, no, raucous laughter, we'll say. Raucous laughter. Yeah, I do feel fortunate that we've got a group to actually play this game with. I have to tell you that among all of the Monster Hunter games that I can play, this is the hardest game to get a group to play with. This is the smallest community of people. Like, there are more people playing Monster Hunter 1, Monster Hunter G, Monster Hunter DOS, Monster Hunter Tri. All of the weird games that not many people play anymore, they all have larger communities than this game. Can you imagine? Like, Freedom 2. Who's playing Freedom 2? Well, we've got 3 of them here. 3 out of, like, what, 10 in the world that have ever existed? No. That have recently been playing. It's a very small group of people. A very exclusive club. Sorry, I had a bout of itchy eye syndrome. I was momentarily in servitude to the itch. It's itchy again. Oh no. This is the same eye that I got something in at the conclusion of my intro. It was extremely professional. I insist that you go back and watch it if you are only watching the live stream. The VOD will include eye problems. That's all I can promise you. Are you flying away, or are you just... We'll pretend he's going behind the hill, not through it. That's what we'll do. Why is my phone vibrating? What do you want? This time it caught it as a spam call. I'm being informed that Kingdom Come Deliverance is on sale. Very good. I never did get that game. I've been wanting to get Kingdom Come Deliverance since it came out, but I don't know, I don't play many new games anymore. Who deigns to fucking poison me at random? I thought it was a Remobra, but I think that actually came from the Gypsaurus. How did that happen? That was really weird. I don't think I've experienced... No, it was a Remobra, look. I got some sort of aerial poison bomb in my face. I couldn't even see where it came from. That was extraordinary. I've got reason to believe that this is going to be a pretty quick hunt. I don't know why you're getting Monopoly Go ads that you can't get rid of on your phone. What model of phone do you have? That sounds like a Xiaomi. That's the sort of shit that I'd expect with a dodgy Chinese phone that has ads baked into the operating system. Samsung A51. Well, I don't know why it's doing that. I think AJ was trying to trap him. Or were you going for the carve? Oh no, I got caught in the attack. That's not good. That is the strongest attack that a Gypsyros can do. Waking up. You've got some interesting attacks from monsters in this series, and that is one of the most interesting. Waking up. I got an excellent view of the inside of that Remobra's mouth. If you blinked, though, you may have missed it. It was only for a fraction of a second. Maybe that can be the thumbnail for this video. No, I'm not going to do that. Which reminds me, I need to check to see if I can turn off the heads-up display. Status display? No. Basically, what I want to start doing is pick a hunt where I turn off my HUD for purposes of getting a good thumbnail screen grab. Because what I've been doing so far, if you guys haven't noticed, with the custom thumbnails, is I'm actually screenshotting an area of the screen that does not include any of the heads-up display. Now that's a very small window. There goes Spear. But yeah, it's a very small window. And it can at times be difficult to find a good screenshot under those circumstances. But it's so funny though, it doesn't really matter if you've got a good screenshot or not. The one that I have for Freedom Unite is abysmal, it's terrible. It's like a kid is like off somewhere in the distance, and then the rest of it is just the really bland and ugly tower arena location, and it's one of the best performing Endgame recordings to date. So, yeah. Viewer interest is not governed necessarily by the quality of a thumbnail. Which comes as no surprise to me, to be honest with you. It's strange that Capcom never decided to bring a full-sized Remobra monster. I mean, someone might jokingly say, what? Full-sized Remobra monster? Isn't that Fatalos? Because he's pretty snake-like, he's got the long head. He does look a bit like a giant Remobra, but seriously, like, why not have a giant poison Remobra monster? Maybe it's a bit too predictable. Every small monster has its large counterpart, maybe that would be boring. I don't know. I don't think it would be. Well, these guys definitely are going to end up with more carves than me. They've been carving during the sleep. I don't really have the defense to give it a try. Admittedly, I can take the hit. I found out the hard way that I can take the hit, but I'm not that desperate for carves. I can see AJ's using the Rajang armor set. He's using it with the hunting horn. The interesting point with the hunting horn is that it's considerably stronger in this game than it is in the later games. But I don't know if that was carried over from DOS or if it was made particularly strong in this game. But if you're going to use the hunting horn, it's highly suggested that you do it here in Freedom 2. I haven't started forging the weapons yet, but the time will come. Oh, big elder dragon jewel. Mom, get the camera. I'm trying to think back to whether or not I can remember an actual, genuine mum get the camera moment. on YouTube. One that wasn't a joke. I don't think I can. I mean, it does originate from a real thing, like, you know, kids on Call of Duty going, "Mom, get the camera! Oh my god!" It was a thing, but it... I don't remember it. I just remember the jokes at this point. AJ cannot use the shortened word for gypseros here because I guess that would be derogatory towards gypsies or something, I don't know. Apparently that's something that Peaberry can fix. That's good. Thanks for doing that. I had to make allowances for something. Someone used a very innocuous word. It was just something that was not problematic whatsoever, and it was actually filtered out by Twitch. I can't remember what it was. It was probably back in 2019, 2020, and someone just used a very basic word. And Twitch didn't allow it. I had to make an allowance for that specific word. It was ridiculous. I can say that. Alright, so no golden fish brew. So it's time for some meat. It's very frustrating. I get it every time in Freedom Unite, but not in this game. I don't know if it's because of my cats. Maybe they don't have the right level. They've definitely got the right food skill level, but in terms of the actual level of the cats themselves, I think it needs to get a little bit higher before it's consistent. That's my guess. Yeah, after. That was such an annoying one. Monster Hunter Try. You can't say after in Monster Hunter Try. Because it means but in German. Great. I remember we discovered, I don't think it was, so they have different sensors depending on like where in the world you are for the Monster Hunter games, and some friends of mine discovered that on the US version of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, the letters C-H-I-N-G, Ching, are actually censored. You're not allowed to say Ching on the Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate servers in the US. I can't remember how we discovered that. We certainly weren't. We were not, like, intentionally typing Ching. It was part of another word, like maybe catching or something like that. Like, imagine we're using the word catching and then those words are censored out. Those letters are censored out. We did discover that, and it brought on much hilarity. I'm just going to ask if I can continue posting random uncleared quests. Yep, punching. Good example. I mean, one can assume that it refers to Chinese people, but I've never heard people say the word Qing in relation to Chinese people, but I don't know. It's one of those situations, again, where you discover the derogatory words purely as a result of the censorship. The censorship is a form of promotion and advertisement for the rude words. It's quite funny. I get, oh, yeah, there is the phrase Ching Chong, now that I think about it, but what, am I not allowed to say Chong? What if it's someone's name? What if their surname is Chong? I know people with the surname Chong, so I can't imagine the phrase Ching Chong, maybe it was. Anyway, maybe the whole phrase was censored, but the point is, like, at a certain point, you have to conduct regular conversation without being inconvenienced by, particularly after. After was just inexcusable. There were other examples, I think, but... And certainly ones that probably I didn't encounter, but US people did, and vice versa. I don't suspect that on the US servers, after was censored. There's almost no way. But yeah, I was playing on the EU servers, and that was definitely censored. Alright, so I guess we're doing thunder damage again. Yeah, watching, there you go. Couldn't type watching. Alright. We will be going longsword. Not to repeat myself, but even if I did have all of the weapons that I wanted to forge, Thunder Gun Lance wouldn't be an option. Very sad. How's my inventory going? Yeah, I might bring all of my Mega Potions for this, just for good measure. Oh, that's right. That's a brilliant, brilliant example of something that is totally unnecessary. So, in this game, they decided that if you are joined up on a quest, whether you have one posted or you are participating in a quest, you've gone to the quest board and you've joined up on a quest, you cannot combine. What is the purpose of that? What are you achieving, Capcom, by preventing me from combining in preparation for a quest because I have joined up on a quest? Does it not stand to reason that when I'm preparing for a quest, it's quite likely that I'll be joined up on one, and then you're going to prevent me from doing this? You know, it's like not being able to eat when you're joined up on a quest in Monster Hunter Tri. Why? Why can I not? Is it because if I'm sitting at a table? No, it wouldn't even be that. Is it that if I'm in the eating menu and they depart, is that going to cause issues? Maybe. But there's absolutely no explanation. Like, I'm trying to rationalize why that might have been done in Tri. I can actually think of a scenario where that might cause issues with game design. If I'm in some sort of menu screen, like maybe I'm in the process of eating food and then they try to depart. You know, maybe that is problematic, but I can't ready up under those circumstances, so I can't imagine that even happening in any situation. Like, readying up and eating makes sense, but if I'm not readied up, they're not going to pull me out of whatever I'm doing, so I've already talked myself out of that. So there is no fucking reason for them to have done that. And there's no reason for this. Why prevent things? For absolutely no reason. Anyway, let's put my honey back. I am, with great resentment, departing with 7 instead of 10 Mega Potions. Yeah, same problem in DOS, apparently. To me, it's just really unnecessary, and it's prohibitive in various ways. Like, you don't... Anyway. Again, there might have been a good reason for it, which you or I may not understand. But in Capcom's infinite wisdom, it was both necessary and unavoidable. Spear is using the same longsword as I am. I don't really want to aim for the head. I want to be as far away from the monster as possible in case he does the spinning attack. I definitely need to get into Hunting Horn in this game. What an incentive to play Hunting Horn, the idea that it's considerably stronger in this game. Referring to the motion values, not the effectiveness of the songs, just to be clear. Gotta love that tail attack. Just him turning around has me on my hands and knees. Because his tail gently brushed me. I guess it's more realistic, but it's annoying, isn't it? Ugh. It's all about finding that opportunity to attack. Fucking Cephalos flying through the air. Which is a paralysis attack for those who are unfamiliar with that fact. Might go for the face though. Turned out to be a good idea actually. He's giving us an excellent opportunity. The universe disagrees with the physics of that attack, by the way, Tigrex. You came at me and then I started flying towards you as a result of being hit by you. It was probably the existence of attack-up songs that caused Capcom to reduce the damage of Hunting Horn. Because if you think about it, if you've already got a pretty strong weapon, buffing your already strong weapon even further probably makes it a bit too strong. Which I can understand. And then there's also the fact that if you're playing with a group of people, you're... in reality, the most sensible way for Hunting Horn to exist in a Monster Hunter game is for it to deal its damage through the teammates that have benefited from the songs, rather than the Hunting Horn itself dealing the damage. Obviously Capcom and the team that made Monster Hunter Rise strongly disagree with that principle, but that's alright. If they knew anything, they wouldn't have made the game the way they did, so it's alright. I'm just finding the safe zones. This is not a safe zone. As you can see, I got touched very gently by the tail and didn't end well. Whoops, I'm trying to put my weapon away and run. You can see that this Cephalos is agitating to interrupt our fight. I'm just seeing him do things. He's getting very close to interrupting proceedings, but he's not quite there. Keep working at it, my friend. You'll get there one day. I don't know which area he's going to. I don't have Psycho Serums on hand. You can see AJ is where he is. Oh, it's the next big area, of course. Surely he's not going to come down here. He's continuing on, I think. Yeah, he is. I don't know why I forgot about that. The movements of a Tigrex in the desert should be fairly well ingrained in my memory, but it's not for some reason. So we are starting at white sharpness with this weapon, but obviously blue is still perfectly reasonable, so I'm going to... Oh, for goodness sake! The idea that that jump forward attack, the actual full damage of that attack, can actually be transferred to the tail, because the tail is sort of hanging to the side of the monster slightly. I mean, that is unfair. I don't even think that's present in Freedom Unite. You see how the tail goes to the side slightly? That there. It's fucking ridiculous. That widens the hitbox in that way. Unfair. I call bullshit. It's a good hunt though, isn't it? It's just one monster on his own, but it feels substantial. It feels like there's pressure. Oh, thank you for that. Well, I wouldn't want to get in the way of your song playing. Nudge me aside. Your songs take precedence. I apologize. I don't know if I can say that I interrupted that or not, because... Okay, so basically AJ was going for the super pound, but I suspect that if I hadn't flinched Tigrex... I don't know... Well, I don't know if AJ would have been able to get the attack out in time, but maybe he would have. He's dead now, though. Just thought I'd mention that. This is probably the most amount of longsword that you guys have ever seen me use in a recording. I'm not going to apologize, because to be honest with you, this is why I don't use longsword very much. It's because, you know, if you use it too much it becomes quite boring, but at least during Freedom 2 recordings where I kind of have to use it a lot, for me, doesn't feel like it's too much. If I already use the weapon fairly often, using it almost exclusively here would probably tip me over the edge into boredom. But no, I'm enjoying it. There we go. Oh, I think we'll be able to kill him here. Oh my god, that was a terrible scenario of input detection. Again, I didn't just voluntarily stop my combo at the crucial moment. The game just shat itself. Oh well. Come on. I think I'll do one more hunt and that will conclude the livestream. I really shouldn't conduct my commentary while speaking into a glass. It doesn't really make for good audio, does it? Although it might provide some entertainment. We've had a good hunting session, though. When I see that hunting horn being used, all I can think of is Kezu singing. And I don't really want to think about that. I neither want to imagine it, nor effectively see it in the form of a Kezu hunting horn making noises. That was a Silver Crown Tigrex, but it felt fairly normal. As opposed to that Gold Rathian that felt absolutely gigantic but was only a Silver Crown. Alright, let's find something that's weak to water. That I haven't done. Maybe a... no, I've done that Red Kezu. Oh, there's another Gypsaros that I haven't done. Basarios, maybe? Yeah, oh, no, that's actually Slay 20 Remobras, that is not a Basarios quest. Cephadrome is Ice, I think. Hermitor is Thunder. Pink Rathian is Dragon. Zoroathlos is Dragon. Speaking of which, I don't think I have a dragon weapon yet. I do need to get on top of that. Kezu's dulcet tones, yes. The mellifluous susurrations of Kezu's singing voice. Alright. What am I going to do? There's nothing that's weak to water. I suppose I'll just have to settle for something else. We're definitely not doing... I don't really... There's no fucking way we're doing that. Let's do Pink Rathian. And I'll figure something out. I'll bring something. Might get some mushrooms as well. Why the hell not? Something you may have also noticed is that I don't have those HD icons in Freedom 2. I have some beautiful HD icons for Freedom Unite. These just look dumpy by comparison, don't they? I mean, what the fuck? Okay. What am I going to use? Scissor cannon? I don't really want to. I really don't want to use the scissor cannon. But I think I'm going to do it. It's happening. A scissor cannon crescendo. An explosive crescendo. It's just so ugly. But it is general use. It's equally useless against all enemies. No, I'm sure it does something. I'm sure it's okay, but it's definitely not amazing. I'm eating a dragon head. I mean a fish head. I mean gigantic rice balls. And sake, which is really out of reach. I've never seen... Quite frankly, you can tell it's not me eating that food because my sake bottle would not be that far out of reach. There's simply no way. Alright. Okay, Pink Rathian. I suspect that Thunder would be better, but do you really want to see me use another Thunder weapon? Do you really? We're using the Scissor Cannon, and that's final. It's a bit sad that I don't have any dragon weapons, isn't it? I can see that AJ's using a dragon weapon. He's got the White Fatalis Greatsword, which later became a thunder weapon, but it is a dragon weapon in this game. And in all of 2nd gen. Bloody hell. I'm sort of going the long way. Because here... Oh, we've got a Geodrome. Looks like we're all getting in on the Geodrome fight. Very good. Oh, what's gonna land? What is it? Is that Great Thunderbug really casting a shadow? Oh. Blink and you missed it. Yeah, I'll carve him as well, why not? Get some Velocidrome stuff. Did I call him a Geodrome? Excuse me. What the fuck? I don't know the difference between my dromes, apparently. That is obviously a Velocidrome. It was very entertaining to watch that, AJ. I'm happy to say that I caught that on camera. Made me feel quite victorious, climbing those vines without interruption. Oh, a bit too late for that. Already laughing. Doesn't stop being funny when you tell me not to laugh. Oh, it happened again. Well. That is a very cursed climbing area. I suppose it's not even... Yeah, usually it's Vespoids that interfere. In this case, it's a great thunderbug. A rather aberrant great thunderbug. I've never had one interrupt me before. He certainly didn't interrupt me that... It certainly didn't interrupt me that time. It was a bit too familiar to say he, wasn't it? It's just a ball of random shit. On the plus side, and there is always a plus side, I am using the scissor cannon. So we can all feel reassured that the prettiest weapon of all Monster Hunter is currently in use. The coloration isn't actually that different to the monster. I'm on the ground again. Have you ever seen the tip of a Rathian's tail on fire? Well, you have seen it now. Tell all your friends. Oh, I should be doing a wyvern fire. It's very negligent of me. No! Come back. Not exactly the best timing for the tail cut, but I guess I didn't have the best timing for the wyvern fire, so I shouldn't find myself surprised. No. This is where the lack of mobility for the Gunlance really feels most acute. It's when you're in a dangerous situation with limited stamina. Oh, up I go. I can't see shit. I think Pink Rathian has bright blue eyes. Occasionally when I'm fighting these monsters I get a flash of the colour of their eyes. It comes quite visually and suddenly. Oh god. I can't shield all of that. She's still going. She's putting herself in the corner. Maybe she really wants to go in that hole. She's given up on it now. AJ nearly walked into a tail flip. Coming from the other area. Oh, thank God. I'm very awkwardly and pathetically bouncing. I feel quite impotent with my scissor cannon with green sharpness. I got a Rathian Ruby though, check that out. Remember, this is a high rank game. Ruby tail carve, that's what I want. You're about to get wyvern fired, lady. Still got hit by that. We're all crowding around the head. For good reason, though. Well, that was inevitable, wasn't it? Fucking hell. Kill her! Don't let her leave. Oh well. Oh, excellently done. Excellently done. That doesn't happen often. In the sense that, oh, I think AJ's going for the trap. I apologize. Yeah, normally when a monster has You guys were really going for that capture. I don't know if I got in the way of that or if I... Oh, ooh, very good. Yep, you've got her. Oh, she's asleep. Thanks for the capture, AJ. That was excellently done. Phenomenally executed. The point that I was trying to make before we did a very late capture there, just, you know, we were that close to missing the capture, but we just got it. I know I'm carving, but it's a special kind of capture. It's exclusive to Freedom 2. Basically, when a monster has, you know, been flying up for that long, to actually successfully flash bomb it, it's not common. It's very much a Monster Hunter World flash pod kind of thing. Yeah, that was the best capture I've ever seen. It just showed real persistence. Dogged persistence. He doesn't let the death of a monster get in the way of capturing, you know. He persists through it. I'm not taking those fangs, you gotta be kidding me. Alright. I'm capturing this monster, dead or alive. That's right. That's the way to do it. Alright, that's going to conclude the recording. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll try to do more Monster Hunter going forward. I just had a bit of a break. Did some other things. But, yeah. This was the last game that I needed to play before just now rotating through different Monster Hunter games. It's the last, first recording of a Monster Hunter game that I'm doing. With the exception of the Origin series, which will include Monster Hunter DOS, and then at some point Monster Hunter G once I move onto that game. But, yeah. I'll see you guys in some other Monster Hunter game, I don't know. I'm certainly not going to go back, like, the same way. It's not going to go back to Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate and then 3 Ultimate, etc. I'm just going to choose whatever the hell I feel like going forward. But, as I explained before, I'm going to try and do a different game every time. Doesn't have to be going through a specific order, but I'm going to try and avoid back-to-back recordings of the same Monster Hunter game in this series. Yeah, glad you were able to catch the live stream as well, P-Berry. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time I'm live. Bye-bye for now.